Interest rates are going up. Trying to get ahead is mighty, mighty tough. Bill collectors at my door. I need someone to help me raise my credit score.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Pearl Polto Show. Again, we got a lot of great shows, and I always say, what will it take to get your attention? Well, before we even go on with today's show, next week, you don't want to miss today's show. One of my clients, as you all seen on the news, her son was molested in the bathroom by kids and bullied. So we're going to hear her for the first time right here on the Pearl Polto Show say the story that she has, and she's been on Channel 10, but she didn't say her complete story. She will next week. We also have a fireman captain coming on to say, I'm not going to take it no more. The city's not going to take it. But today's show, we're taking this worldwide, and I'm taking this worldwide for a reason. This has been a horrible year with people, not just myself, but everybody, your loved ones, your friends, dying around you. And many of you don't understand, can't understand. And I always say, I call it, we all hear about the afterlife. We human beings are like any other organic creature. They die and their bodies decay. Nevertheless, there's a widespread and long-standing belief that there is some death survives and there's life after death. All humans who die will somehow continue to live on or reassume life at a later time. Not in this forum. Afterlife, may I add, it matters to us what happens to us after we die. We all have that question. Some deny it. Some avoid it. And when we think of heaven, we think of a glorified earth, mansions, parks, children playing around, flowers, birds flying overhead. We desire to be with our friends and family in a place of no fear. But will they have to give account? Who's ready to judge the living and the dead? They say we're greeted by our friends and relatives and even our pets who have passed before us. Apparently, they just don't lie around above the clouds all day in the afterlife. It could be a station where we gain knowledge of for personal growth. As like you, I have many questions. Where do we go when we die? Does the other side tell you where we're going? And two, is there someone above? Are they above the clouds or in another dimension right here on earth? Can the spirits that cross over tell us what's going on the other side? Or do we have to put the pieces together ourselves? How can some communicate with the dead and others cannot? How about suicide? Where do they go? And what's the difference between a psychic and an afterlife medium? What is their purpose? Are all psychics allowed to communicate with the dead? In some ways, being a medium, it's a very specialized skill. Very similar how a brain surgeon is very specialized in his field as a doctor. It's rare. I have found only 20% of mediums that have been able to do what they say. My guest today has been there and back again and didn't want to come back again. We want to know this. But if we knew it was so perfect on the other side, why isn't everybody committing suicide? Or do we have a purpose on this earth? Where are your loved ones going? And are they trying to communicate with you? And why aren't you picking up the communication? And we all have these questions, and some are afraid. I've talked to many people that would say, I'm afraid to know. I don't want to die. I'm afraid to die. Or many people with psychics be saying, I don't want to know. I'm afraid. I don't want to ask her. She may tell me bad news. They're not God. They're close enough to God. And then you hear on your TVs, you see on shows, everybody's becoming a medium. Everybody's becoming a psychic. There are a difference between them. We're going to find out all these questions today, and more so, your answers, because this is the year we have lost many loved ones in our life. We lost a host of a talk show right there on WWDB. We've lost my old partner, Derek Bratton, this year. We've lost a lot of people throughout the years. Valerie Morrison lost her daughter. I lost my mother. I lost my best friend. Where are they now? Irv Homer, he's passed on, and we're in his living room right now. Is he here? Is he here with his wife? Is he there with his wife? Is he watching over us? And is there a karma on the other side or this side? How does God judge us? How does God judge us when he sees the life we're living? And why did God take some and not others? Why don't he take the mean, evil people, the one that has the power plays? Why doesn't he take these people? Why is he taking the innocent ones? Or why do people grow old and yet the ones that are 20 are on the other side? Why did God want them? We're going to find out all these answers. Backed by popular demand. And I have interviewed many, many, many psychics and mediums. And believe me, some of them I can't say are fake because they think they're experienced. But you know what? We all have that hope. We want the hope. But we want the hope through the experience. And through the experience of knowledge and being and having a gift. I believe that this person sitting beside me has a gift. And we don't have to, when you have a gift, you don't have to prove to the world. You don't have to prove to the world what you have because you already have it. But anyway, I'm going to have many questions for her, questions that were emailed to me when they seen she was coming on my show. And I did this for a reason on Facebook, on YouTube. I did this for a reason on my website. I wanted you to email me questions of what you wanted to know about your loved ones. I was overwhelmed with email questions. And yet some questions were even brought to me today, which I'm going to ask her. But it's your hope of the people that you lost. And continue emailing me what you think and your impressions, because it all goes on websites, especially Facebook, that goes worldwide. And this show will be on YouTube worldwide because I want to get this message across. I want to welcome back on the show Valerie Morrison.
Thank you, Pearl.
Well, what do you think of that presentation?
I think that was a great presentation. And there are people that ask questions, and unfortunately, sometimes when we're in the office, you can't really answer everything that you're asking because you don't have the time to do that. They could be taking a half an hour. They may be taking an hour. Mainly, I guess the one thing that we may discuss at the end, does everyone go to heaven? And the answer is that no, not everyone does go to heaven. Imagine yourself that you have, let's say, shot this policeman. We're both wearing red because of his blood on the streets. And do you really think that when these people die, they're going to go to heaven? No, they're not. I have had a vision of hell and what it's like. It's not brimstone and fire, but it is a very dark place with not one leaf on a tree. And the trees reach out and they grab you. And it happened with a doctor friend of mine that was, they had to bring back to life after 20 minutes. And I will tell you about that. After a few minutes, 5 minutes, you're brain dead. He was not. He changed his whole life. And he did not want to go back to that horrible place. Why I got to see it, I don't know. But I remember a white light at the end of that area. And I remember a voice, a very strong voice, saying, "You're not finished yet." And when they did bring him back, because they were giving up at that point, his whole life changed.
Valerie, why did God, and I'm sure you don't even know this answer, you may know it, why did God choose some and not others? Why did he choose you with this gift?
Well, I believe that everyone is marked at the time they were born with an invisible mark of the time their death came. And sometimes, as you know, it's prevented. As to this officer, he was asked to ride in a patrol car to be taken home. He refused.
Could that have been prevented or not prevented?
No, because he had the number.
Well, in other words, your number's up, it's up.
It's up. And the thing is that I feel that people out there should be listening to me and follow their intuition. I did not follow my intuition as a young girl, and I was stabbed, and we'll go into that another show. At one point, at 8 years old, another time, I drowned. I've gone through 4 death traumas that I remembered seeing the other side, and it was so beautiful. The only thing is, being pushed back is like as though you're going backwards really fast. And
Why did God choose you?
I believe that God chose me because he saw a girl that was specifically qualified to constantly do his work, no matter how much suffering she had to take. And I do believe also that he tests me, whether I'll lose my faith or not. And he knew that I would not lose my faith, but it was a test. You know, losing my mother, my father, my my daughter.
So you believe this was a test?
I do. I believe he tested me, and he was waiting for me to say, I don't believe anymore in that stuff. I don't want to believe. So as I began to use this energy, I'd like to call it. I don't like power. The word power. We don't have power. Only God does. And when I began to use this energy at a very young age, my first experience was around, I would say, 6 years old, when I got out of the water to pull a couple plugs out of the wall that were electrical, and I remember flying through the air and hitting a wall. And the next thing I remembered was a fireman. And when you mentioned fireman, standing next to me and resuscitating me. And I saw, instead of seeing a white light around him the way I did when I was in heaven, and saw messengers who do not have wings. They are not called angels in heaven. They're called messengers because they have a bright light around them. And I didn't see that. I saw all this darkness like soot or dirt, now that I remember it. And he was killed in a fire a week later. So being 5 years old, I couldn't prevent that. And I couldn't have. I wouldn't have been able to, because he had the number. You know, the number is that we have a number in our life. People we're going to meet, people we're going to help, people. There are days, and my friends out there, all my people who are watching today know I work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 12 hours a day. When Friday comes, I usually try to collapse because I'm exhausted. But it's not meant to be. God has something for me to do, and there's always an emergency call. And I don't charge a lot of money, but you know that.
I want the people to actually be in our shoes right now, and be in their loved one's shoes that passed away.
Right.
And I'm going to say, I just got shot.
Right.
I just got shot. And I know I'm dying because I feel the breath coming out of me. What do I expect now? Me dying. Who am I going to see, if I'm going to see anybody? What happens at that moment that their loved one, don't have to be shot, it could be anything. What happens at that moment, because you were there and back. So what happens at that moment when I just got shot and I'm saying, what am I going to experience?
Well, at the point of death, really, what happens is there's usually another person, not a messenger now yet, but another person that you have known and loved in your life, say your grandfather, your father, your mother, a good friend, whomever it may be, that is there, and they know you're going because they've been told by the messengers in heaven
that I got shot, that Pearl's going to die.
That's
now.
right, exactly.
Okay.
And what happens is you're lifted up, and you're lifted before you have pain, and you're lifted very quickly into the other sphere, the other area. And as you're lifted there, there's a loved one waiting for you.
And I will see this loved one.
You will see the loved one, and you'll be surprised, maybe a little confused. I was, but happy. And as I did, I reached out and said, Daddy, and they make the decision in a way for you. Either you stay or you go. And I remember my father, after a conversation, folding his arms and saying, no, you can't stay. And coming back to this earth. I would say one thing, ladies and gentlemen, it's an exhilarating ride. It really is. I mean, being on the other side and seeing all the beautiful things, the flowers are 4 feet. Roses are, I love roses. They're 4 feet big.
How far do you get from the time that I'm shot and I'm dying and my loved ones are meeting me and I'm seeing, let's say, my mother, my grandmother? When do I see all these beautiful things? A second later, a moment later, or there's no time?
There is no time because it's immediate. It's immediate.
Do I see myself lying there dying and somebody trying to support me or
No, no, you don't. You don't see that because that would be something that would upset you. And then you might have that second thought of, I'll go back, or I want to go back, or you ask the messenger, can I go back? What if you came back and your brain did? I mean, so that you usually don't do that. You make the choice to stay with all these people that surround you that have loved you. In the Bible, it says, "In my Father's house there are many mansions." So your community, when you leave this earth and go to heaven, is going to be where your mother's living, where your father's living, where Dolores is living. It's all in a community of your friends and people that you've helped out with your credit reporting. They're able to come and have tea with you, but they can't stay because they have their own little community where their loved ones are. So we do have that house that God promised us.
are they, how could they? Now they're on the other side, but do they need a medium to communicate, like my best friend, your daughter, my mother? Do they need a medium to communicate with me to say, I'm right here. I'm standing beside you. Wake up. Is this happening?
If you have a really good medium, I don't mean someone that just walks up to you out of the blue and says, "Oh, I see your father behind you," or "I see your aunt behind you." I don't go for that. I believe that when someone comes to see me, I just got a call from Connecticut, and a man said to me, "I buried my son 2 days ago. I need help." I had to explain to him, ladies and gentlemen, that I only work with the police and the FBI and the CIA, and I'm not allowed to give names. But if he would get me the name of an officer to call me, I would help in the murder of his son. Well, I have the name of a detective who's interested. But I believe at that particular point, you have to understand that the people are there. The people are that you love are there, and they pull you up. They pull you up when it's your time. Other times you've known that people have been on life support. You yourself had a friend for a long, long time. They weren't there. They were already in heaven because they had been marked the day that it happened to them. And they were just laying there in their mind saying, "Will you please let me go?"
Okay, so these people.
So they're right outside that golden gate.
Now,
you know?
I got shot. I'm dead.
Right.
I'm on the other side. My family met me, but I want to get a message to you. What do I do on the other side? Because you've been there and back. What do I do to get a message to you?
Well,
my
you
friend?
you can go to a bona fide medium. You know, it doesn't have to be a television medium or a radio medium like me. It just because we do radio and television doesn't mean we're good.
Okay.
You know, it may mean we're charging a lot of money.
Okay.
But the main thing is to go to a medium that you've heard about from other people that is really, really good. And you don't have to go to lectures for
But she's
it
got
or
a
anything
gift.
like
She's
that.
got a gift, correct?
And they have a gift. And they're able, my gift comes out such as when you sit, I may have a husband here and a wife here, and in the middle I see a yellow light begin to appear. And the yellow light is their son, daughter, mother, or father. But usually I don't just cover one person because by the time, say, the son comes in, the grandmother comes in, and then the grandfather comes in, and you get all this, which
So
is
me
really
being dead, I
great.
want to come to you because I want to get a message to my loved one that's hurting because they're missing me.
Exactly.
So I need somebody.
But they really aren't missing you, Pearl, because they're with you. They aren't missing you. They're with you, and they give you signs. It could be a light flickering on and off. It could be a tone of what you thought was the microwave, which has happened to me recently. And you know where you think the microwave's going off, and it isn't going off. It could be a strange-looking bird that lands on your fence. It could be anything, but that, just because we say, "Oh, my grandmother would never take the form of a bird. She hated birds." No, She doesn't hate birds anymore because in heaven, animals and birds and all kinds of things are there. And they try to get in touch with you on almost a daily basis through their love. It's love.
Can they protect you? Example, as you said, you seen the accident I had with my
Right.
carport, and I sat in front of it every day, and I had to move it. I moved it for no apparent reason. So you're saying they were protecting me because it was not my time to go.
Because they put into your head when I had an accident, I know it was a road and I said, I'm not going to go down that road because I've never been there before. Well, maybe I will. So I went down the road and had a car accident. But you see, with you, you were given from your mother or Dolores, this feeling, move your chair now. But you didn't think of it. You just pulled the chair away. You would have been killed.
Yeah.
So they did protect you. And do they protect their loved ones here on earth? Yes. Do they come to take that loved one when it's time for them to go? Meaning, if they're sick in a hospital, let them go. The way I did my husband. Say it's okay to go to Helen. It's okay.
So when we come back, we're going to find out if our loved ones are eating in heaven. Is there food? Is there rain? Is there shelter? When we come back, we're going to find out from somebody that died and came back and knows what's really going on over there.
I'm consumer protection lawyer Kerry Flitter. You've heard me as a guest on the Pearl Polto Show. We often get calls from consumers complaining about their experience at a car dealership. Very often a dealer will advertise a low interest rate, but when you go to sign for the loan, you get stuck with a higher interest rate. Sometimes they'll blame your credit history, whether that's the real reason or not. There are laws in place that protect consumers from these and other unfair tactics that are sometimes practiced by some of the car dealers. We know the rules that the car dealers have to live by, whether Pennsylvania or New Jersey. If you feel you've been taken advantage of, call us for a no-cost consultation at 888-668-1225. That's 888-668-1225. Or visit our website, consumerslaw.com. That's consumers with an S, consumerslaw.com. If we accept your case, our fees are paid only by the car dealer at the end of your case. 888-668-1225. We'll be happy to work for you.
You're listening to the Pearl Polto Show. Valerie Morrison is my guest, and we're talking about the afterlife. If you lost somebody that's close to you and need that hope and need that, you need that feeling that they're in a safe place. And then after you know they're in a safe place, you have questions. You have questions, and I have questions as well. Do they eat? I mean, we lose our body.
No, you don't lose your body. You don't lose your body. In fact, you can wear whatever you want. You usually don't wear shoes. You can wear anything you want. You may be looking at someone from the 18th century that's wearing a little cap in the back and a long dress. They're going to see their own people. You don't get to talk to that person, but we do get to eat whatever we want. Remember, again, the Bible, always quoting the Bible, is manna from heaven, isn't it? That's food from heaven. Okay, God does not just put food here. There's food there. The only thing is, I guess he made us realize that there's pure food here that we should be eating, rather than some of the stuff we do eat. We can have anything we want. If I want 40 chocolate sundaes, ladies and gentlemen, I won't gain an ounce. And I can wear whatever I want. I can be whatever age I want to be.
Oh, that's my next question. If you're bedridden and you're 90 years old, but you were at your best when you were 30, can you go back when people says, I see my loved one, they look so young, so 20 years old? What happens there?
Absolutely. They pick the age they want to. The story that I believe that I may have told you personally was when I was in heaven one time, and I was very frightened because it happened very suddenly. I had an aneurysm, and many things happened at that particular point we can talk about later, but I had an aneurysm. It was very quick. And when I entered heaven, I smelled, first of all, I smelled rhubarb pie. And I knew that one of my grandmothers always made me rhubarb pie. And I was trying to see her. It was as though there was a fence separating us, but it was a fence that you could, I guess God put there. I couldn't get through it. And I could hear her speaking as though she were expecting me, so she were making the rhubarb pie. And then suddenly I looked at my body and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm a kid again. Meaning that I felt as though I were only like maybe 22, 24 years old. And that was really when I had the greatest times of my life. And so you do pick the age of the greatest times of your life, and God permits that. And if do you remember me telling you about the man that came in the wheelchair that frightened me? And he was all crippled over like that, and he was blind, and he had white hair, and I was really frightened. And the two messengers were next to me, and then suddenly they walked over to him, and they stood beside him, and he stood up, and he had blue eyes and dark hair, and instead of looking 90, he looked 40 years old. And I heard the saying, he wants to see you now. And now that worried me a little because I didn't know what that meant. And then I remembered the Bible again. He is I am, meaning God wanted to talk to him.
I came from a big family, and they're all passed on. And they used to be at a table. Do they all sit around a table, your family, to say, we're watching them down there, but look at this, they're laughing, they're saying we're in hell right now, and they're having it better. Does that happen?
Rephrase that.
Okay. Where I'm trying to.
Where's the table?
It could be any dinner table. They're all the loved ones that passed away are around the table. And
Okay.
they're looking down at us by saying, if they only knew, I'm in good shape, I'm happy, I'm with all the loved ones. Boy, they got hell on earth. We don't anymore.
That's
Does
true.
that happen?
That's true, but they also have intuitive ability because in Acts and two parts of the Bible, Acts and Joel, in the Old Testament and New Testament, it says, your sons and your daughters shall have dreams. Your sons shall see visions, and your old men shall be able to prophesy. And that's the only verse in the Bible, the Old Testament and the New, that is true. So they see you, but they don't have that fear of, do they know? They know when you're coming. They actually know when it is your time to come to bring the flowers and the wreaths and the food and set up the feast. Just as, again, the Bible says, I shall prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemies. So your enemies will be there as well, seeing how wonderfully you're being treated, and then they go somewhere else.
All right. Now I got a controversial question, because if we all have our number, and God knows when we're going to die, there's all the diseases out there. Cancer is one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're going to have cancer, and you're going to go through all the treatments out there, and God knows you're going to die anyway, I mean, what's the purpose?
Well, there really is a purpose to some cancers, but I believe, as I said to Dr. Strathmore, I can't say his name right, but down at U of P, Doctor, weren't you just okay today for a new drug from the FDA for a cancer cure? And he went, Valerie, I was just today at U of P. So they are progressing. And it's not like the machine you talk about that does it better. The Reiki, is it called?
Reiki machine.
But it's not the same. And not everyone with cancer dies. My lawyer called me up last week, and she said to me, Valerie, she was crying.
So it's not your time, then it's a lesson.
That's
a lesson to
right,
learn.
a lesson to learn. And she said to me, Valerie, they found 3 lumps in my breast, and I think I have cancer. And I said, don't say that, because you see, ladies and gentlemen, you say something and you're giving it validity. So you don't say
You're
that.
putting it out to the
So
universe.
anyway, I said, you don't have cancer, and it's not more than 4 centimeters, because if it is, then it is something to aspirate. I said, no aspiration, you'll get an infection. Well, her birthday was a week later. She called me up crying, and she said to me, Valerie, I have no cancer, and it's my birthday. So you know who you are, Lawyer W, and that's all I'm saying. But she is my best friend, and she is very political, and she was very frightened, and she's very kind. And God spared her. And now, maybe someday when she's 90 years old, 80 years old, she will get cancer. You know, cancer is something that you hear. It's almost like it's a second word, like saying the.
Yeah.
You know, it's everywhere nowadays.
But people are going to die. If it's your time, it's your time. If it's not your time, God will make something happen, is what you're trying to say. Things will happen unless you believe you're going to die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't put that in your head. As losing a child when I did, you know, my first thought, of course, was why was it her and why not me and why wasn't I with her when she died? And it's a very sad
you
experience.
speak of God a lot. Naturally, it's a belief with religions. But when people die, do they see God?
Well, they do when this is what actually happened. Like when the wheelchaired man was stood up and walked, and the angelic people who are called, you know, messengers said he wants to see you now. Yes, I have seen this, and we can talk about it anytime you want to. Other people that have been told they were going to see him. Did I see him? No. He sits on a throne. That's true. He is the king. He's the king of the Jews. He is the king. And he sits there, and what he shows you is a video. Let's take a video, a modern day video. Only in you're seeing it the way he shows it to you, of your life. The good and the bad that you have done. Which outweighs which? That's the most important thing. You know, with mine, it just turned up to be recently a set of keys. Is it a key to heaven? What does the key mean? I don't know. I think it means love. But the thing is that it's just you watch it and then he tells you. Either you go to your home, which I told you about, to be with your family, or you're exiled for a while. But the exile can be a short time. It's not like when you've committed murder. It's a short time. Perhaps a couple of times in your life, you drank a lot. You hurt your family. You took drugs. You hurt your family, even though you got well. And then you tried it again and died. Well, that's not suicide. We'll talk about that another time. So when he gives you a time that you are separated, could you imagine hearing and seeing those you love laughing and being happy and saying, oh, Johnny's going to be here any minute now. We're waiting for Johnny. Only there's no time there. How long does God give you to stay in that realm or sort of an invisible cage before he said, it's time for you now. I forgive you. Are you sorry? And you get down on your knees and say, I wish I would never have done that to my family.
There was a woman years ago when I appeared on a New York station. She called me and she said, that's your career. And I was talking to her every week. And every week I never met the woman for 3 years, but I talked to her every week. And at the very end, she was in the hospital. I made a pledge that I wanted to go see her in the New York hospital. I never did. And then I received a call. She died. And I never knew what the woman looked like. And one night in the dream, it said, hi, Pearl. Hi, Pearl. I want to tell you what's going on. I want to tell you the secret. Because we always used to talk about this now. She said, I want to tell you the secret. The secret is, well, no matter what you do on this earth, this is what you'll be judged here. Now, this is in my dream. Whatever you'll be judged on this earth, whatever you do on this earth, you will be judged here. And I thought, what a valuable lesson. Whatever you do good here, you'll be judged here. So continue doing good here. When I woke up, I said, it's a phone call again. It's always the phone. I never really knew what she looked like. The next night, I said, in the dream, I've never seen you. And this person was picking up a phone, calling, say, hi, it's me again. And then I contacted her family. I said, you have to show me a picture of her. It was the same woman.
And it was her.
And her message was, whatever we do on this earth is what we're going to do on the other side, good or bad, because God sees it all. Is this which?
That's true. And the other thing I think that I would like to say to you is when someone passes away, I wouldn't say 100%, but I would say 50% there's a fight in the family over the money. I deserve this. She promised me this. He promised me that. He this. They can see all this
Yes.
and say, that's all worthless to me. I don't care what you do with it. But I did not promise you that. I did not. So what happens? You lose that bracelet. It's gone and you
Yes.
can't find
I've
it.
seen that. You lose it all.
Exactly. And they say, you stole my. Then the next thing is you stole. The worst thing, ladies and gentlemen, don't fight with your family because guess what? There's a beautiful place for all of you, but some of you won't get there if you keep up with that fighting.
When a
Forgiveness is divine.
When a child dies,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to the other side, but they lost their mother, they lost their father. Who do they go to? And do they stay that age? And who do they cling to if not their mother and father?
I haven't seen a child that looked like it was over 5 to 8 years old. I mean, even though they may have been stillborn or they may have been aborted, they go to someone in heaven that loves them, needed them. Say they never had a child and they both died in an accident or something, they get to hold that child. And in heaven, there is no pain with childbirth. And oh, by the way, if you never have been married, you will find the love of your life in heaven.
Interesting. Where do our animals go? Where is my Chloe, my Jackie, your loved ones, your dog, your cat? Where do they go? And do they watch down on us to say, I want them here? I mean, we're their masters. So where do our animals
Didn't
go?
you ever go like this and feel something on the bottom of
Yes.
your leg? It's your animal. It comes to see you. It's a spirit. And you go like that and you say, what's that on my leg? And there's nothing there.
I have
They come.
when my
They go
dog.
to
Now
heaven.
you tell me, and this is live here now, people. I have a dog, Jackie, credit dog to the rescue, and I gave Jackie. It was a ball, and if you shook it, you had to shake it, and it would say, "Bet you can't get me." Well, when she died, Jackie died. The credit dog. I put it beside my bed, and every now and then I'll be watching TV and I'll hear, now you have to shake this ball. And every now and then I hear, bet you can't get me. And I said, Jackie, I know you're there. So that's what you're saying. You are saying, or if I feel my bed is
Absolutely.
coming down a little bit as if somebody just jumped on it.
Absolutely. In
And I
fact,
think I'm not going nuts.
no,
People aren't
no.
going nuts
It is
out
true.
there.
When the man came through in the wheelchair, all these animals came. Now, they weren't his. I know that. But they were coming through at the same time. And I kept looking for my animals, but everything was so fast. You have to understand when you die and come back, it moves really quickly. And, I kept looking for mine. And I remember the story of a lady that died. And she was very afraid of heights. And she didn't like animals. And she had a baby she just had, but she died during the childbirth. And when she was brought back, she said, remember, I was afraid of heights. I was very high on the top of a cliff looking over at the beautiful clouds and rainbows. Everything was so beautiful. I was so peaceful. I didn't even remember that I had a baby. And all these animals that I never liked, never had, were brushing against my legs as they were coming through to heaven. And she said, and a voice said, you just had a baby you have to take care of. And she said, I opened my eyes and, oh my gosh, I said, I have to take care of my baby. So God gave her that chance.
It's amazing.
A lot of people get second chances.
There's a lot. Matter of fact, any questions that you may have, because I got emailed a lot, as I said, but a lot will be on Valerie's website, my website. You can ask her questions. I'm trying to get all the questions in. And we're going to be all over Facebook and everything else, and even how to communicate with Valerie Morrison herself. But the one question, I mean, people, we laugh here, we cry here. Do they, do the same as here? Do they walk? Do they run? Do they just float? Do they laugh? Do they cry?
I don't know if the word is float, but they don't touch the ground, if that's what you're saying, because the ground looks like cotton balls. That's the only way I can explain it. And they seem to not touch the ground. And do they laugh? Of course they laugh. They laugh because they're all together now or waiting for someone to come because they don't fear someone is going to come. They don't know that it might be a tragic death. They just know that that person is going to be with them.
Are they sad? Can they be sad because they left someone that they loved?
I would.
As we are, we're sad. Should they
Yes.
be sad?
No, they're not sad. They're not sad because there is no time, as I said.
And they're
They.
always with you.
That's right. They're always with you, and they wait for you to come. And Pearl, you're going to be doing this in your 80s, so you better get used to it. But do they cry? I have not seen a tear except when I heard that from the messenger that a drug addict died, and his whole family was grieving, and I heard there was one tear from God. I always call them diamond tears.
Okay. Now, if this is so great and our loved ones are there and they're all having a good time, why would we want to stay here and not everybody commit suicide?
Well, suicide is a place where you're going to end up in that dark place I told you.
So you won't see your family.
You won't see your family until God forgives you. And that could take much longer than the other forgiveness that I'm talking about, where families fight and so on and so forth. Suicide is not when you had your number to go. Suicide is when you have taken the choice to give yourself a number and go. So I would suggest to anyone that contemplates suicide to please pray it away there, because you will not be with anyone that you lost that maybe, let's say that my husband died, which we know he did, and I killed myself because of it. I wouldn't be with Charles.
Okay.
I wouldn't be with Helen if I committed suicide.
I do know a son that killed herself because the mother died, so he's not with her.
He's not with her. And she doesn't know that he committed suicide. That is not permitted in heaven, as you know the bad things. So
Okay.
she will just wait till he comes. And then he has a lot of explaining to do. And then she's not going to cry. She's just
Wow.
going to take him in her arms.
When we go to a funeral, they say that our loved ones are there already watching us weep. How do they feel when they see us crying? My mother, my best friend, your daughter, how do they feel when they see us crying over them? And they know it's not them there in that coffin, but how do they feel when they see, like my best friend or my mother, they see me out of control? What do they feel? And what can they do to help us?
They can stand next to you. Sometimes people will get chills that go up their arms.
I've heard that a lot.
Or their
I get
whole
chills up my
body.
arm.
Sometimes you'll feel your whole body get chills. They're standing next to you. They're with you. They could watch their funeral. And it's a funny thing because time I was at a funeral and I knew the person. I could see the person that had passed away. And she was very, very upset with something that was happening at her funeral. And we won't go into who I think that is, but I will. I never told you this. And I know that as she watched her funeral, she did have tears in her eyes. Not because she was going to this wonderful place and had already seen it and was there already, but because she made a visit to see how many people loved her and found out one person she thought would love her didn't.
It's I think it's sad when a person dies that do they ever know they didn't die, or are they ever walking around this earth by not knowing that they died?
No, they don't know that. They go to where they're supposed to go. It can be either the gray area. I don't like to use the word hell. They go to the gray area or they go to the light.
The reason why I'm saying communicating, a personal experience here, which was right here in the studio. As you know, my best friend Dolores died October 13th. And as she died October 13th, I was doing the show here. And as I was doing the show here, my producer Ron said, the computers just broke. It was like her message to me that she was dying or died. I mean, is that possible?
It's possible that what she was saying to you was that, why do you think you're going to do a show when I just died? In other words, she was trying to let you know she was dying in a minute because she felt sick and in some way, or that she already had passed. They will let you know that. They will stop communication.
Interesting. So, the people out there, when you lost your loved ones, and we just lost a host on WWDB of Let's Talk Cancer, and that was pretty sad. And Valerie, I did a vessel show on it. But is there such a thing? I'm going to die. I got shot. Can I come back? Am I going to be reincarnated like Jesus was? Can I come back?
I do not believe in reincarnation. I believe that Mary Magdalene, who I pray to every night and tell other people to pray to her because she never lets me down, I pray that Mary Magdalene will listen to me and go to her mother, who was Mary. Well, she wasn't her mother, but was like a mother to her, and to go to Jesus, who was like a brother to her, and that she will give me what I need in any way that I need it, and it always works out. It could be a ring I couldn't find, it could be something else, but do they come here to stay? No. Do they?
I mean, to learn another lesson? Or you don't believe in reincarnation?
No, reincarnation is, look at it this fact. If you listen to everything that I've just told you, and I've told this to my clients, if you listen to everything I just told you, how beautiful it is there, no pain, no suffering, anything you want, order a hot fudge sundae, whatever. Why would you want to come back? Why would you want to come back? And why would you leave your family all over again? No. And what are you going to tell me? As someone told me when my daughter passed away, oh, you're going to see her when she's 12 years old in China. What is my daughter doing in China? I want to see her here. So I will wait till it's my turn to see my daughter. Don't always believe these reincarnational stories. I went to a party once, and it was a reincarnational party, and it was a psychic party, and there were 20 Cleopatras. Come on, get real.
Is there ever a time where you're in heaven where you do want to leave and come back here?
Never.
So there's no
Will
pain.
you help pull someone through that's sick? Yes.
So, in other words, when you're in this other life and everybody's there, no one really wants to come back.
No.
So why did God choose only a few? You're one of them. Why did God only choose a few to communicate with the people that are hurting? I mean, he gave you a gift, but there's so many psychics and mediums out there that don't have this gift, that claim to have it, and they don't. But why would God not choose me?
I believe you have some of your own ability, but to do it the way I do it, I believe God chose me unknowingly. I don't believe that you know right away that you have this ability. Mm-hmm. I believe that God already has put it in your body at the day of your birth. When I was born dead. Mm-hmm. And I was resuscitated at that point through hot water and cold water. The doctor brought me back. That's when I was chosen. I was chosen because God didn't want me to die. He wanted me to do what I'm doing, and that was to help everybody that I could.
And I believe that God put me and you together for a reason.
Yes, I do.
Because I could have died in that accident. You could have died down the shore.
Yes.
There's a lot of things. He's trying to tell us, and we don't even know. As you said, we don't know when our number is up.
No.
We don't know. But we do know that we're out to help people. You're out to help them in one way. I'm out to help them in another way. And our paths crossed where you're giving them hope. I'm giving them hope. But in your hope, I think yours is a little bit more special than mine because I lost a lot of loved ones. You lost a lot of loved ones. We do want to see them. And, and it hurts people to say, I want to see them in person. Is that possible? That's a good question that was asked to me. And like even with my best friend Dolores, they would say, Pearl, you're going to see her. You're going to see her. I said, no, I want to see her physically. I want to see her. Is that possible?
It's possible to see them in a dream. A dream is a vision. That's what I was telling you was in Joel and Acts. Your young men shall see visions. Your old men shall prophesy. These are the things that will happen. I happen to be given the gift of prophecy and the gift of visions. And that's a great gift. I mean, it's the only verbatim verse in the Bible. So can we see them only in a dream? And you can ask at night when you go to bed, say your prayers, say, I have a problem right now. I really need to see you in some way. If you don't want to come physically, because you don't want to pull them out, at least show me something that will tell me the answer.
When you said, the key word you just said is, I don't want to pull them out. Pull them out of what?
Heaven.
Okay, so your selfishness will say,
Happiness.
I want to. Okay, and the reason why I'm saying this, I have an aunt and uncle. My aunt lost her daughter, cancer, and my uncle got operated on. And while he was in the hospital, he seen a shadow walk by him, and the shadow was sitting on the chair. And he said to my aunt, I seen Marianne sitting on the chair, and she said, "You're going nuts." And he said, "No, I seen her. I'm going to make it through this. I'm going to leave this hospital because I seen my daughter on the chair." Was that possible, or is he?
No, it's possible. It's rare, but it's possible. After Helen died, it was about a week later. I was still in bed crying a lot, and I felt a presence. And I turned and I looked on her father's side, and he had already been up, and there she was. Now there was nothing left of my daughter to see. She was perfect. She said, "Look at me, Mom. Don't I look nice?" And I said, "Helen, oh my gosh, how could you do this to me? I had a funeral. People think you're dead. Who did you lend your rings to? Who did you lend your card to?" She said, "Shh." And I was crying, and she said, we always said this, "Are these diamonds?" And she said, "Look at my hair, Mommy. It looks nice, doesn't it?" And I said, "Helen, I have to tell your father you're alive. Are you running away from someone or something?" And I turned to use the intercom, and as I did, she was gone. And I said, "Charles, get right up here. Helen's alive. She's hiding in the house." He came up and he said to me, "Honey, stop it. She's gone." And I said, "I hate you." I remember because I didn't want to hear she's gone.
Can they save you? My next door neighbor was involved in a tractor trailer coming on 995. She walked away from the accident. The car was demolished. Nothing hurt her, and she believed her grandmother was there
That's true.
to help her.
Yes, that's true. Many times, and I tell this to many people that show me photographs of their children, and I see someone with the child. And when I name the person that's with the child, and they say, "Really?" And I said, "Is the name, say, Andrew or whatever?" And they'll say, "Yeah, that was my nephew. He died years ago." And I say, "You know what? You'll never have to worry about your child. He'll take care of him all his life."
So they're in heaven, but they're still watching over us. They're still making sure we're safe, but they
Yes.
know. Do they know our number, or only God knows our number?
Only God knows.
So
the
they don't
number.
even know when we're going to come to them.
No, but it doesn't matter because to them it's tomorrow. You see, there's no time.
There's no tomorrow.
There's
with
no
it.
tomorrow.
And if you ever notice a person dying in their deathbed, I know my uncle, when I went into his room, he had his eyes closed. He was in a coma, and a second before he died, he looked up to the ceiling, big smile on his face, and then he died with it. So he must have seen my aunt. We, both of us, we've made comments. You made comments. I made the same comments by saying, "You know what? I have nothing to lose. We've lost everything, and I'm not afraid of the other side." And yet some people are afraid. Why are
Yes.
people afraid of dying?
Because perhaps some of them haven't lived the life that they should
Or
have.
guilty?
And they're feeling some guilt. It doesn't mean they're really guilty, but
Right.
maybe there's just a few things they did that they feel, "Oh my, I shouldn't have done that." I just feel that
Or they'll be judged in
that-
heaven?
Well, they will be judged. They will be judged.
As my friend told me, whatever you do on this earth will reflect on the other side
That's
what
true.
you do.
Some
so this
of the
is why people
judgment
are
is
afraid.
harsh.
I've known people that are said, "I'm afraid to die."
Some of the punishment is harsh, meaning that God has a right to be angry. I mean, he was angry with Lucifer, wasn't he? He was angry with a lot of people, but he was the only person that ever was resurrected. He was the only person that came back in full body. He was the only person that took Lazarus, his best friend, who was dead for 3 days, rotting away, and like that made him come back to life, and went to the little girl's parents who were crying when she died, and like that she woke up. Whether you want to say it was a deep sleep, what some philosophers might say, "Oh, the child was in a deep sleep." But then how could someone be rotted away? Lazarus. I mean, well, people, the one thing I would like you to do is read a little bit of Corinthians in your Bible. It's called the gift of prophecy. And it will tell you love is patient, love is kind, love is giving. It's not taking away. And when you say love is patient and love is kind, isn't that what we're supposed to do? Because St. Teresa, the little flower, and a lot of you have mentioned her to me, said the only thing you can take with you when you go is love.
we had close people that we both known, Dolores, Irv Homer in here, and we sit back, and even Derek, and we sit back. Are they watching us now? Are they listening to what we have to say?
I
And they're
think
giving us a
Derek's
thumbs up?
hysterical right now. I think Derek's laughing his head off and saying, "Gosh, I could have told you this the other day, or in a dream or something, but unfortunately I wasn't permitted to." As far as Dolores, I think she's being very serious in listening to us. I see a more serious look on her face as though you're getting it right. You're getting it right.
Yeah.
Helen is probably just dancing away there and saying,
you
"I
go,
can't
girl.
wait to."
You go, Mom.
That's right. You go, girl. That's what she used to say. You go, girl.
Is that what she used
Yep,
to say
she
when
used to
she's
say
coming
that,
through
uh-huh.
me?
Yeah.
And my mother, I know my mother just sitting back listening. Now, how about Irv?
Irv,
He's got the two of us together.
And I'll tell you what Irv would be doing right now. He would say, "Would you please, you Yentes, shut up?" Say to me.
I mean, he's watching us both together. We were both guests on his show, both of us. And now he's got us together, and it's for a reason, too. And I know he wants to make this work even for his son.
So
And I
please
see
don't
it.
turn on all the lights, Irv.
So, interesting enough, they used to call me the female Irv.
Right.
And Lenny, because I say it like it is, and I hear him like in my voice saying, "Go get him, go get him."
I
And then with the
know.
you, I see he's watching over you. He's still protecting you, and it's interesting.
He always said, "Look at me." Well, I was a little girl. I was young, and I went on a show, and I spent 30-some years with him, and he taught me how to. Don't you know how to open your mouth and say what you really mean? And
What do I say to you?
Yeah, you say the same thing. I know. Be a little tougher and stop being such a little wimp.
Is that what he used to say
Yeah,
to
he
you?
used to say that to me.
It's interesting. Anybody out there, when it comes to mediums, when it comes to your loved one, we're taking this serious because many people are passing on, including celebrities. This last week, this last month, many celebrities are passing away too. And that's another question. Do we see those celebrities on the other side?
We don't. Their family does.
Their family does.
Yeah.
But, I always say I want to see Elvis, so I guess I won't see Elvis. No, I guess
No,
I
you
won't see Elvis.
Elvis has a lot to answer for. And we all loved Elvis.
Yeah.
But he has a lot to answer for yet. And look how long he's been gone. Whitney has a lot to answer. She was certainly had the voice of an angel. And, she kept being drawn into the wrong things.
The dark side.
The dark side. And she won't stay long. She'll be in the light soon.
Yeah. It's pretty sad that when you think of
Yeah,
things with it.
she's amazing.
If you wish to contact Valerie Morrison and get the real thing on the emotions, you could go to her website. You can email her with questions. You can go to my website, pearlpolto.net, and valeriemorrison.com, and email what your feelings are if you have questions. You see there's a lot of psychics out there and a lot of mediums. That's why I wanted to do the show today, because it's not that I don't trust anybody else. I don't. And some of them I do, and some of them, I just see what's really going on. We are going to talk about children who passed away in abortion, but that's going to be on another show, to be continued. Valerie, I want to thank you for coming on and relating such a deep topic when it comes to the other side. People are hurting out there, and I'm wearing our charms, and we're both wearing. We always have the same for
The
some
crystals.
reason. She's wearing a crystal cross. I am wearing a crystal that was her daughter's.
Yes.
So, and I believe they're here today watching over the both of us and making sure they are the angels, and they're saying, they got a thumbs up right now to say, you go, both of you
And
go.
they're saying you have a long way to go, Mom and Pearl. And I can hear Helen saying, you've got to help a lot of people. And as God would say, it's not your time yet.
I believe it's not my time with that accident I had. I believe it was not your time. I don't believe it's your time because you're too busy helping
When
people.
I roll through the ocean, of course.
But we both sat back and we both said, we don't care. because we're not afraid of the other side, and many people are afraid. Well, now that you're not, now that you know to be afraid of the other side or not be afraid of the other side, and the only way not to be afraid of the other side, do good on this earth. Love where you have to. It's not money. You can't take it with you. If you won the $1 million lottery, you can't take it with you. So this is the point she's trying to make. And, whatever you feel about the other side, for the Bible, against the Bible, you're going to be with your loved one soon. So let's not talk about death all the time. Let's talk about life and living what we have to do on this earth, because we're all going to pay the price on the other side. This is Pearl Polto. As always, as I say, making the most, giving the most of credit where credit's due. This time, to all the souls over there that are watching over us tonight. See you next week.
Interest rates are